Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
McDonald's and 29 other firms get a health care coverage waiver. Now, where does this come from? This health care fiasco bill. We'll talk about it today on Faith and Freedom. I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel and dean of Liberty University School of Law. Joining me is Matt Barber, director of cultural affairs for Liberty Counsel and associate dean for the law school. Matt, this is something brand new that just came from the Department of Health and Human Services, Kathleen Sebelius, on her own independent discretion. No objective guidelines. She decides to give a list of exemptions, granting waivers in late September, so workers with plans that would not be to the level that they are requiring will not lose their health care insurance, because she's fearful that employers will drop the health care and just decide to pay the fine instead. Yeah. So in order to stop that roller coaster that was beginning, she just arbitrarily gave these exemptions to McDonald's and 29 other firms, including the teachers union.
Yeah, the teachers union being the largest, the United Federation of Teachers, 351,000 people. So much for that chicken in every pot, health care in every home promise that this Obama administration made. Things that are too good to be true, that sound too good to be true, usually are. And we were screaming from the rooftops that not only was this ObamaCare monstrosity completely unconstitutional, which Liberty Counsel was the first private organization to file a lawsuit before the ink was even dry on this piece of legislation. We were in the courts. Not only is it completely unconstitutional, it's impossible. It's utopian. It's this radical utopian, something that would only come from the mind of a radical utopian ideologue like President Obama.
Well, in this particular case, McDonald's, including Jack in the Box, they're not going to be required under this temporary waiver to raise the minimum annual benefit included in low-cost health insurance plans, which are used oftentimes to cover part-time and low-wage employees. Now, what they would do is it would ultimately hit McDonald's and Jack in the Box with significant penalties and fines. For example, let's look at Liberty University. In a few days from now, from this broadcast here, I'll be in federal court arguing against the motion to dismiss filed by Eric Holder and the Department of Justice on our health care lawsuit. So we want to ask you to keep that in prayer. I'll be in court on October the 22nd.
It's in the Western District of Virginia?
Western District of Virginia, before Judge Moon. And we're going to be arguing there against the Obama administration's attempt to dismiss our lawsuit. Once we get through that hurdle, then we'll move on to the final phase of the summary judgment and then take it up through the appeals channel. So continue to keep that in prayer. We'll keep you up to date with the results of that hearing. But here's just an example of something. Candy at our Liberty Counsel office in Orlando was going to go for an eye exam to get some work done on her eye. And she had just gotten her annual physical in September. But now the eye place that does a lot of LASIK surgery or cataract surgery, and she's having a cataract surgery, this place had been in operation for 17 years. Now what they said under the Obama health care plan is she has to go get a general physical, and that physical has to be within 30 days of the actual surgery. Now, she's going to have surgery on both eyes for cataract. They're not going to do them at the same time. They're going to do one eye, and then they'll do the second eye. Well, she just had an annual physical, but it is just outside of the 30-day window. So she has to go get another annual physical, and then they have to schedule the first surgery on the eye within 30 days and the second surgery on the eye within 30 days. So assume, for example, that she gets the physical now, which she just had. She has to get another one, and she has the first surgery within 30 days. But for some reason, the second surgery, the doctor's sick, can't come in, you got to cancel it. move it out a week, but now it's at the 31st day.
She'd have to go get a third.
She has to go get a third physical before she gets the second surgery on the eye. Now, who pays for that? Well, the health insurance company pays for that. And then, obviously, we all pay for that collectively. Now, what happens if the health insurance company says, wait a minute, you already had your first physical, your annual physical. I'm not going to give you another physical 35 days from your annual physical, so you have to pay for that yourself. If the health insurance company does that, then she would have to go out and get some subsidy through this healthcare exchange. Now, what does that mean for Liberty Counsel? That means that Liberty Counsel, if she had to do that, would have to pay a $3,000 fine for every single one of our employees. Because one employee would have to go get this exchange to have this coverage. That's the kind of penalty that's coming down the pipe. And this is the Obamacare healthcare system. It makes no sense. It's bureaucracy at its worst, and it will really hurt businesses. Now, if Liberty Counsel had to pay a $3,000 penalty for every one of its employees because one of its employees didn't have the right kind of coverage, or the insurance company said, I'm not going to cover that, and they had to go outside, imagine the financial impact that it would have not only on Liberty Counsel, but Liberty University, private employers, small businesses. It's just a fiasco that's happening.
The Obamacare monstrosity is unraveling, and you hate to say I told you so, but again, we warned that these things were going to occur, and they're happening in fantastic form. And I don't mean that in a good way. They're happening at a faster rate than we anticipated, and it's unraveling in a much more catastrophic way than we anticipated. Now, even the CBO is acknowledging that, finally acknowledging that premium rates are going to skyrocket under Obamacare. And this is, and they've acknowledged that the majority of people, whereas President Obama said that you will get to keep your current doctor, get to keep your current insurance plan. Matt, there's no other way to say it. That was a bald-faced lie.
Yeah,
now the vast majority of people, as he knew and as we knew, are going to lose their current plan, lose their current doctor, be forced into some subpar insurance policy with who knows as their doctor. So it's no wonder why the popularity of this socialized medicine, this precursor to socialized medicine, this government takeover, is waning very, very quickly. It's really no surprise at all.
Well, the waiver here, they had to do an election fairly soon after this September waiver that they did. They were a month away from having to do this election in October of 2010. And what would ultimately happen is the premiums would have gone up on these people, and the employers would make a decision to sometimes, some of them would just decide to dump the insurance and pay the penalty, because sometimes paying the penalty would be cheaper than incurring the cost of the additional insurance coverage premiums. And that then takes all the employees who otherwise have good coverage and dumps them into this unknown morass of federal bureaucracy. So here he even got pressure from the United Federation of Teachers Welfare Fund, and that's no doubt one of the reasons why they did this waiver. It covers 351,000 people, and they've been granted a waiver only for a year. So what happens after the year goes over? It only is a one-year waiver. That's why this healthcare plan is a fiasco. It is part of the whole socialist mentality of the Obama administration. That's why people in America are so upset, and that's why I think there's going to be a big change in November.
Well, Matt, the example you gave, the specific example you gave with Candy, with Liberty Counsel, with her cataract surgery, having to get 1, 2, maybe 3 annual exams around the time of that surgery, it's a perfect metaphor for what we can expect epidemically around the country. And that's what happens when you take healthcare and medical decisions away from the individual and away from the doctor that individual sees, and you place it in with some group of bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. who look at you as a number and rubber stamp your paper and push it on to the next. It is not a one-size-fits-all equation.
No, it's not. So give us a call at Liberty Counsel. We're defending your rights on this issue. We were the first organization to file a federal lawsuit against this Obamacare on the very same day that it was passed. I'm arguing this in the next few days, October the 22nd, so keep this in your prayers, and we'll keep you involved not only with that ruling, but how it ultimately turns out at the end. I believe at the end of the day, when we get this before the Supreme Court, one of these cases, it'll ultimately be struck down as unconstitutional. The federal government does not have this expansive capability to mandate that you provide or purchase a certain kind of health care. Go to Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org. We need your prayers and financial support to continue to defend and advance these rights of life, liberty, and family. Go to lc.org.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.